That was the price of your crown.
Die! I want you to die.
Soon enough, I'll be dead. And you'll be king.
I don't want anything from you. You're not a man. You're not my father.
You are my son, and you have always known my mind.
You deceived me.
You let yourself be deceived. But in your heart, you always knew what had to happen here. At last, you know what it means to hate. Now you're ready to be a king.
My hate will die with you.
Just like a G, you know? Trouble, what's poppin', fight? Before they do it. I wake up and go get me some new money. You know I'm living like a G. These little niggas ain't gonna take nothing from me. You know we do it like a G. I swear to God, I fuck on anyone. Just like a gangster, just like a G.
Just like a G, just like a G. Hey, good morning. This is the Chit Podcast. This is the morning show. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Hope everybody gets the day started and has a great day. Wanted to get a show in early today because when I try to wait and do them late, I don't get them done. So I'm getting to it early today. I wanted to talk about, so I should name this show Avoiding the Apocalypse or Surviving the Apocalypse, but I probably won't. One of the things that there's so much going on in the world, but there's this one guy that every time I see his face, I posted online that every time I see his smug face, I like Iran a little bit more. Who's this guy that I'm referring to? I'm referring to this gentleman here. I shouldn't even call him gentleman. There's a term in philosophy or psychology that applies to him. The term is called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and I think this applies to this gentleman here, Pete Hegseth.
We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country.
Those are the words of a potential war criminal, right there. And that is not the advice and counsel and direction that any Secretary of Defense should be providing our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. It puts them actually in greater danger. The Secretary of Defense is a disgraced major that was kicked out of the DC National Guard. He has no qualifications whatsoever to be the Secretary of Defense other than his extreme loyalty to the president. Again, those are the words of a potential war criminal.
And I'm not a political person. I'm not in politics. I wasn't in the military, but I just have something against Pete Hegseth. I have a lot against him, but the Dunning-Kruger effect applies. Every time I see his smug face, his overconfident self, and so what the Dunning-Kruger effect is essentially is underqualified people exhibit the most confidence when talking about specific topics, whereas a person that's an expert in that field or overqualified in that area, they're more reserved and hesitant about how they approach things, especially things that are complicated. And Pete Hegseth, he's just for the position that he has of running one of the largest organizations in the world, he's too cavalier. Like he needs to take it easy. He needs to calm down. He was elevated to a position that he wasn't prepared for or ready for, and he's just running around getting us into mess after mess after mess. But maybe that's what we deserve because we put another person in charge. We seem like a country that loves confidence over competence. And I was thinking about this the other night, and I was like, maybe it's because of American individualism that our culture got us to this point. Because I bang my head against the fact that people listen to people who are uninformed. and you juxtapose why or how that happens. And I think it only falls, it literally seems like it must land on just the confidence that an uninformed person has and how they present topics. But basically the way I would approach it is I was putting together my monologue as I was thinking about it, and I was like, I gotta do Dunning-Kruger. It's like, it gotta be the Dunning-Kruger effect, because it's not psychology, it's really just America, because we don't reward confidence, we elevate it. You look at us. You look at different people. It happens in politics. It happens in business sometimes. It happens in. You could say it happens in every facet of society. Hollywood, this, that. We don't just reward confidence. We elevate it. Whether the confidence comes with competence or not, it would be like you buy a house. The house needs work. You get a quote for the work, you don't like the price, then you say, I'll do everything myself. Like everything? You're gonna do everything yourself? Like I could do some things yourself. Like I'll do that task, I'll do this task. We elevate the people who say, I'll do everything myself. And I think that we're gonna suffer for it if we don't learn from it. Hopefully we still have time to learn from it. Hopefully for other people, the people of the world, we have time to learn from it. But I was trying to get to, where's my sound? Where's my Bill? I was trying to get to the Bill O'Reilly sound when he was like, F it, I'll go live, or F it, I'll go live. But Dunning-Kruger, I'm trying to think, it was a classical literature. I'm not sure if it was from Machiavelli or who, but I think it was whoever was from Italy. But they wrote a book, a story about obtaining power. And the essence of it wasn't, Dunning-Kruger came after. Like, as far as the concept of Dunning-Kruger is a concept that has been around since early in life, early in human existence. Like other well-known people have written about the concept. Dunning-Kruger is the name that we assign to it in this day and age, in this civilizational time that we're living in. But Socrates wrote about it, Aristotle wrote about it, Confucius wrote about it, Shakespeare wrote about it, Alexander Pope wrote about it. Everyone has always understood that unqualified people or underqualified people really take more charge because they have less to be concerned about than overqualified people. And with that, I'm gonna get off my soapbox and get off my high horse. And I do have a guest who is here. Thumbs up if you're ready, Graham. All right, awesome. So I have a guest here today who's going to join the show that I'm going to just have a conversation with. He's a good brother, a good gentleman. And I don't say good gentleman. He's a gentleman, of course. But I met him. I was having a good conversation with him. And I said, you know what? I got to chat with you again. And so from there, I'm going to pull Graham in. Let me add him to the stage. Hello, sir.
Hi. Lovely to see you, Sterling.
Lovely to see you again. How you been?
I'm fine. I was going to say happy spring, but it started to snow this morning in my little village south of Oslo, Norway.
It started to snow?
Yeah, but it's not serious. No, I hope.
Okay. See, I'm in Houston, so we don't have that issue.
You're up early then.
I get up early every day. I'm up at 5 a.m. every day.
Okay.
I get up at 5 a.m. because what I normally do is like right after I wrap this up, I take my daughter to school, then I get back and I start my work day.
Okay.
But yeah. I'm a busy bee, as they say. But so when did you get back to Norway?
Oh, I got back to Norway the week after Israel and your president decided to attack Iran.
So that was like the first week of March, because we were in. I met Graham. I was in DC at a bar. I go to this bar. It's my favorite bar, one of my favorite bars in DC for their fish nuggets, their catfish nuggets. And so Graham was doing. What were you doing? You were doing a Southeast tour or an East Coast tour?
I'm actually retired, as I probably told you, but I got contacted by some friends who, funnily enough, are based in Abu Dhabi, and they have a project going on with Alaskan gas.
Oh yeah.
They asked me to join them, and I resisted and said, "Listen, I'm retired and I'm lazy, and I'm not really interested in working, but the project is extremely exciting." So I was in DC with some extremely expensive lawyers in DC, and I managed to get a break from this world that I re-entered.
Oh, okay.
And I was staying across the road from Stan's in DC, and the nice lady at reception pointed me towards an Italian place near Stan's, and I took one look inside, and I thought, this is not the place for me. And then I saw people coming out of Stan's, and I thought, I'm going to be happier there.
Yeah. The Stan's is a great place.
And I met another guy, a huge guy, sitting at the bar. He had an empty seat next to him. He said, "This is for you." And then you came in, and
that was the musician, right?
Yeah, and it was fun. I mean, I'm not really an A4 attorney, so for me to discover Stan's was a good break from the standard square edges that I was involved in. In fact, when I went back to work the next day, people said, "What did you do last night?" And I told them that I had been to Stan's. They looked a little perturbed, but I think they got used to me being a little different from your regular.
What is an A4 attorney? I heard you say A4. Is that like a thing in the legal field?
Oh, sorry. A4 is this a standard letter size in the European metric system. So in the US, it's US letter, and you've got your own US sizes of paper. Okay. A4 is a standard paper size. And when we say A4, it means you're pretty much conformist.
Okay.
Which I've never been, hopefully. And
got it. That was one of the things that was impressed upon me when we were chatting, because I was like, you were going through your life story, or some of your life story. You didn't go through all of it, but you were talking about the places you've been and things that you were doing in different periods. And I was like, man, that's like, you got to really, I was like, you really got to talk about your life. You got to tell your life, talk about your story. But all right, that's awesome. So A4 attorney. Stan's, for whoever listens to this, if you go to DC, Stan's advertised itself as the strongest drinks in the city, and that's the truth. Yeah. But they also have really good catfish nuggets, in my opinion. And it's a downstairs bar, so it's one of those bars. It's a basement bar, basically. I don't even know what the buildings are above it, like what they use them for. I barely even look at them. I walk downstairs and go into the bar, but it's in a nice corner of, I think it's L and Vermont or something. So if you're in DC,
be aware if you go there, the barman does not use measures. No, and they are pouring out of gallon bottles of vodka and things. Mm-hmm. So be aware that you could end up being a little unstable. You're expecting regular drinks. You're not going to get regular drinks, actually. So I mean, it was a great place, and teeming with wonderful people, I thought. It was wonderful to meet you. I travel a lot. Yeah. Not for business now, but the whole point of traveling is to meet different people and have different experiences. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she said to me, the solution, Graham, she said, is not to let the old man in. And I always, in a sense, she said that I now have a special set of internal guardians preventing the old man from getting in.
Yeah. No,
Because I think if you let the old man in, you kind of acknowledge that you're running out of runway, and you start every conversation describing how your body's no longer what it was when you were a top rugby player as a kid.
So you used to play rugby?
I did. I mean, as I told you, and as some people might be able to hear, I'm a pink South African, and among the pink South Africans, rugby was when I grew up a major sport.
Okay.
So
got it.
I still follow rugby.
Was there ever a time when rugby was going to kind of like surpass soccer, or was soccer always ahead of rugby, and rugby was kind of like popular like in a way cricket is popular in, like, say, Pakistan?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that you've got to be especially today, you've got to be a little bit crazy to play rugby. Because rugby today is, as some of your listeners will know, people don't have armory on when they play rugby, and it's a tough game.
Okay.
I think that rugby is never going to be as popular as soccer, because soccer is a simple game. You need a ball and you need a flat piece of ground, and you don't necessarily. Of course, they get a lot of injuries, but the injuries are caused through usage rather than collision and conflict. And I mean, in rugby, the whole game is like a gladiator's game. In fact, sometimes when I watch it, I think about the fact that I grew up also watching boxing, and my dad was a bookie, and he was interested in sports like boxing, and took me to boxing, and I became quite a fan until I met a doctor who explained to me what happens inside your head when you do boxing. And then I decided maybe it's not a smart thing to do. So I think rugby is a little bit like that. Watch a rugby game. These guys are not. They're not careful people.
Yeah. So you live? Do you live in Oslo or outside of Oslo?
I live in a small village about 30 k's due south of Oslo. There is a university here with a lot of foreign students doing development studies courses, and agriculture, and the veterinary university is here. So I live in a tiny village about 6 miles, US miles from the coast. And, it's a peaceful place.
And you've been living back in Norway. You said that you told me that you met your wife when you were on vacation in Lisbon.
You've got a wonderful memory. I was in Athens.
Oh, Athens.
Yeah, I'd been admitted as an attorney in '76 in KwaZulu, where I was born and grew up and was educated. And I thought I was 25. I wasn't even 25. I was 24. And I thought to myself, is this it? Am I now going to buy a little house and get a BMW and a pool, become a fully fledged member of the middle class at the age of 24? I mean, I haven't lived. So I remember I bought a ticket, a round the world ticket. And I thought, let me just go and check out the world. I lost my parents. My dad had left me a bit of money, and I thought, well, I'm not going to starve.
Yeah.
As an attorney, in this country, which at the time was, of course, designed only for white males, basically. So I traveled and I met my children's mother in Athens. I thought she was Australian, actually.
Oh,
It turned out to be from Norway,
yeah.
and it's a long story. I met
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
I spent 4 years traveling, actually, not the 1 year that I'd planned.
Yeah.
And then
That's
when I went back to my hometown, I changed such a lot. I didn't fit. And it was a little bit traumatic, really, because what do you do when you go back and you think, okay, I'm going to take up my life now. I'm going to bring my girlfriend and marry her and, just be a good middle class person.
Mhm.
And you find that you don't fit anymore. So,
Mhm.
but I was lucky. On my way out of the country, I met some wonderful people who persuaded me to stay on and join a public interest law firm in Johannesburg.
Mhm.
And that was in 1980. And for the next 5 years, I really went to war against the system, together with a lot of extremely fine people
Yeah.
in South Africa.
I know I was very interested in hearing the stories you were recounting at the bar, and I was telling you, I was like, I know that people would be interested in that, and you don't have to go over all of it again, but that was one of the things that I was impressed that I was impressed with, and I had said to you at the time, I said I was impressed that I was impressed that you. The stances that you stated you were taking during that period, or the way that you were the way your mind was operating during that period, which is a huge period for the history of the planet. Essentially, that was a monumental struggle, and that would be like there's monumental struggles going on right now that we're witnessing, and so somebody who's in that space, seeing it from the inside and standing on the right side of history, down the line they'll have a story, and people will want to hear that story, and that's kind of how I saw it, at least.
Well, I mean, I think you're very kind. It was a fantastic time to be in Johannesburg, because in the 80s, the liberation struggle in South Africa moved from being based in exile to becoming embedded inside the country.
Okay.
And although I can't claim to be on the front line, because as you can see, I'm pink, you can't, it's hard to explain how exciting it was. And we knew that we couldn't fail in this struggle. So even though we knew it might take a long time because the system was extremely brutal, we knew that we had to win, because we knew that the leadership of mainly the trade union movement in South Africa was so well organized. We knew that their cause was being supported all over the world. And we knew ultimately that there were sufficient people in the country in power who would eventually see that the alternative to a negotiated solution would be a terrible bloodbath.
Mm.
And one of the saddest things and one of the big regrets of my life is that I was in 1985, through circumstances that are not necessary to go into, that I was actually, I had to leave and come and live in Norway and start again.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Mandela was released in a few years, and then the people that I worked with made the new constitution of South Africa, which is for a lawyer, a constitutional human rights lawyer like me, that's like a wet dream to make the constitution. And it's
really?
Yeah. So, and then of course, some of the people that I work with moved into power. And one of them is the president of South Africa at the moment. he was the general secretary of the Mine Workers Union. And I remember meeting him in 1980, Cyril Ramaphosa, who comes from a tribe in the far north of South Africa, right up against the border with Zimbabwe and Mozambique. Cyril Ramaphosa was a young lawyer my age who was doing his traineeship with a white law firm, which offered me a job as well. And then he spun out and became the Secretary General of the very small Mine Workers Union.
Yeah.
And then he hired me as one of several lawyers doing labor disputes. And I remember initially going off to strikes in a beat up car with Cyril and his guys. And within a few years, he had 300,000 members, and we went to strikes in helicopters. So when Mandela was released, didn't take long for Cyril to become Secretary General of the ANC and to position himself to eventually become president. A difficult job, I think, to be a president of a country which was so badly damaged by the white colonial people. I think people expect things to be able to be fixed much quicker than they can.
Yeah, something happened to me to yesterday, where I had a change in a shift in perspective on something. Like on this is a different issue. This is not a different place. When it comes to Israel and Palestine, right? I saw a video of Israeli citizens, and I didn't realize that Israeli citizens inside the country were protesting in the way that they were, because then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, they're suppressing information. So, because like on the outside looking in, you just think that everybody's totally on board with everything. And you're like, how's everybody supporting this? So then, and similarly, I'm like, in other places, people don't understand everything that goes on in America. And so it was like a eureka moment for me, even for me. Like I try to be as aware as I can, right? But when I saw the protests of the people inside of Israel resisting joining military service and getting sent to prison, it was leaked video. And I was like, oh, there is an internal struggle even against what they have going on. And I was like, yeah, it dawned on me that there was, it was like a eureka moment. Like, oh, okay. So the information, you get selected. Like even right now, what was happening, they're not allowing video to come out of the consequences of the actions that we took. And the situation over there is kind of the way they were setting, in my mind at least, as an outsider looking in, the powers that be were trying to position South Africa to kind of follow that trajectory, but that trajectory was avoided.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the history of South Africa is a history similar to many other countries which were invaded and occupied by people from other countries.
Yeah.
And the story of South Africa, of course, is a story of a European-led intervention into a country where there was plenty of space, lots of resources, and which eventually the British took control over after using quite serious violence, not only against the indigenous people, but also of the Protestant settlers who came from Catholic oppression in Europe. They also in the early 1800s, when the British took over, they said, "Hey, we're out of here." They got into their ox wagons and went north because the British behaved so badly. These guys who were farmers and Calvinists and quite serious.
The Brits came in and chased them all.
They went north, and they actually, the history of that part of South Africa is not really that well documented. But and there were very few of them, and they met a lot of indigenous African people in the hinterland of the country, and they, of course, they didn't get on well with everybody, but there's quite a lot of land. So the indigenous African people are nomadic people, not really farmers, farming, having cattle mainly. Lots of struggles going on, like the Native Americans are struggling against each other as well when the colonials arrive. So quite similar. And then they made a big mistake in South Africa.
Yeah.
They found gold and diamonds. And when they found gold and diamonds, of course, the people who came running were British capitalists who literally took control over the gold and diamond production. Couldn't get the indigenous people or the Boers, as we called them, to work on the mines, introduced taxes. And when people had no money to pay taxes, they took their animals. And when they didn't have their animals, they put them in prison for not paying taxes. And then they put them into forced labor in the mines. And this is a story of British capitalist interventions. It's a story that's told all over the world, I think. I mean, so the people who think that the Boers invented apartheid in South Africa are missing the point. I mean, the British invented apartheid. The British invented concentration camps where they put the families of other colonialists into concentration camps, the women and children, at the turn of the century. So the U.S. Carnegie Foundation actually did a study of poverty among whites in South Africa in 1920. And they discovered that the Afrikaner-speaking, the Boers from Europe, who the British had oppressed, were extremely poor and discriminated against as much as the indigenous people of South Africa were discriminated against. And so their story is a story of also of resistance. I mean, it doesn't explain their appalling behavior and their racism, but they put, and if you think about it, the beginning of the 1900s, the Afrikaner people of South Africa started a secret society, a little bit like Rotary or the Ku Klux Klan or something. And they decided they were going to get power using the democratic vote, knowing that the British would never give Africans and Indians now living in South Africa the right to vote. But it took them 50 years. So
50 years from 1920 or 1910 or something?
1958.
Oh, 1958.
The national government got into power. And what they did was that they legislated the apartheid system. And think about what was going on in the U.S., Southern U.S. is not too far off.
In the U.S., there was we used to put out these congressional studies. And so we call them like the Brown Book or something like that. So we had one, I forget what it was, what year it came out, but it was focused on South Africa and our American position on it. And our position was we wanted the apartheid, but we didn't want the Africans to know we wanted the apartheid because we didn't want, if apartheid failed, we didn't want Africans to have animosity towards America and withhold resources that we would have to then go take by force. So America is a very twisted, demented place. Like with the thing that happened just now, where we in Iraq, where we were negotiating with some people to get our soldiers out of a base. And the people said, okay, sure, we'll give you 24 hours to get your stuff and leave. And as the last guy left, we bombed the negotiating. Our leaders are demented isn't the word for it. But see, like the way I always say it is I love history. Like I love history. And so the way I always say it is, when if you study American history, like American history is awesome to study. Like it's interesting. I mean, not awesome. It's not. It's nothing good about it. It's horrible. But from a studying history perspective, you learn a lot about it. You learn a lot from it. And I like when people are surprised about how Trump is negotiating. I'm like, did you not know our history? Like this is literally textbook American negotiating tactics. We're going back to the basics right now.
Yeah.
Like we got away from the basics because we had all of the power. We was able to camouflage it, mask it.
Yeah.
We're going back to how we started right now. Like, okay, let me remind you who we are. That's kind of how I see what's happening, because this is literally like how we went from east to west, manifest destiny. You know what I mean? So like,
I mean, sadly, I think that this is the human condition. I mean, I think that humans, unless they're controlled, unless people get involved, I think humans allow dark angels to get into power. And I mean, this is the big challenge. I mean, how do you get rid of these people? Yeah. And how do you when you get rid of the current dark angels, how do you replace them with people who don't become corrupted? Mm-hmm. It's a big puzzle. But I'm a very lucky person. I ended up living in Norway. This wasn't my plan.
Yeah.
And I end up living in Norway. There's 5.5 million people here. On every United Nations indicator, Norway's in the top 5. Every positive indicator. And why is that? And I mean, it's interesting. And of course, I find that puzzling and interesting to look at. And I actually worked in an NGO for 10 years when I took a break from the oil and gas business, looking at the concept of culture of peace and looking at Norway as a culture of peace, and asked myself the question, how is it that a country that introduced Christianity through violence could end up and who were occupied by the Germans for 5 years during the Second World War, and who were very poor, how can they end up being such a successful culture of peace? People say to me, it's the oil and gas.
Okay.
Of course, that helps. But that's not the story. I mean, the story of Norway is an interesting story. Of course, the 5.5 million people are generally homogenous. I mean, just to come and live here in the last 2,000 years, just to settle here, if you think about natural selection, didn't involve people who were chickens. I mean, the people that came to live in Norway, they must have been extremely hardy.
Yeah.
And extremely tough. I mean, when you look at the boats that the Vikings left Norway and went to Iceland and went to Newfoundland, when you look at those boats, and they found them in the mud, so we've got them here.
Mm-hmm.
Look down and you think to yourself, how in the world, what kind of people get in a boat like this, get in the North Sea and row and end up settling in Iceland or in Greenland or in Newfoundland? I mean, they must have been crazy. I mean, my theory is that there's a lot of magic mushrooms on the west coast of Norway, so they must have used those.
There's magic. You mean like there's a lot of mushrooms grow, like the hallucinogen ones?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's not supported by any historical fact, but I've worked in the North Sea, and this is not a friendly place. It's not. It's a place of big waves.
Does Norway have the icebreakers like Russia?
We don't have icebreakers like Russia. No, we don't at all. But we do have, of course, icebound ports up in the north. No, I'm lucky to live in Norway, and I learn a lot from Norway. There's a high level of involvement.
That Norwegian the sovereign wealth fund you showed me, it went over. I saw an article the other day that it went over $2 billion, $2 trillion.
Yes.
Do you know? I looked into the sovereign wealth fund. So Norway was the highest, but China has 3 separate sovereign wealth funds. They have one for China, they have one for Hong Kong, they have one for we need a sovereign wealth fund here in America, but America is a country of individualism, which allows the government to rob everyone at the same time.
I'm not going to make comments about America because it's we can have if you like, I'd be happy to do that, but
no, you don't have to. I'm saying that. I'm saying I want a sovereign wealth fund for America, but America, like, I was really having this thought. I was saying to my wife, because I was like, it was a certain thing that was going a topic, and I was like, why do we keep talking about this? And I said, I think it's because of American individualism that people, it pushes against it probably pushes against something that's central to human existence internally, and it creates a conflict in people. And so we don't know how to clear that, bridge that divide or bridge that issue. And so we're always fighting in this country, in my opinion, we fight about a lot of trivial matters. I don't know if they fight about trivial matters. I don't know what goes on in Norway politics or Norway discussions amongst the community, amongst the people. But a lot of the things I see, whether it's this generation or that generation, and then you look back through time for the last 50 years or 70 years, and it seems like we have the same fights that we still haven't repaired, from a gender conversation, a racial conversation, all different types of conversations. It's the simplest things in my mind to bridge, but I feel like American individualism gets in the way of bridging it.
But it's paradoxical, because if you look at some states in the United States, there is a very high degree of community involvement at the lowest levels. Mm-hmm. And that's, for me, a puzzle, because, I mean, one of our neighbors here in Scandinavia, Denmark, had an national election yesterday. And for an American to look at the results of that national election, and even for me, it was a bit of a puzzle. They've got 11 political parties. So talk about individualism. The Danish political system is now so individualistic that every Tom, Dick, and Harry has got his own party. So now, literally, if you go and have a look, Google the results of the parties. There's 11 parties. Only one of them is over, I think one or two are over 10%. So the rest of them are spread out. And it means that now forming a government in Denmark is going to be a big challenge. Mm. And that's, of course, paradoxical, because we talk about the Americans being individualistic, but the politics at the national level is ordered into 2 camps, or 3 camps is better to say 3, because there's the Democrats, the Republicans, and the people who don't get involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are 50% of the population.
Exactly.
And I mean, I think that's a challenge. And many of those 50% are involved in the library committee in the small town in Alabama, but they don't get involved in state or national politics. For me, it's a huge paradox, because there's so many talented people. But I mean, you talk about the sovereign wealth. The sovereign wealth of the United States is in the hands of less than 1% of the people. That's where your money is.
Yeah.
In Norway, the Norwegian people decided they were not going to allow that to happen. So they literally did not allow it to happen. They just said, if you work as the chief executive officer of the oil company, which has a big state ownership in Norway, you are not going to earn $2,000 a minute like the executives at Disney earn. We just will not allow it. You're not worth it, folks. And if you don't like it, go live somewhere else. In the United States, of course, if you earn $2,500 a minute, people don't seem to worry. I mean, I just think about the amount of money we pay the lawyers in Washington, D.C. that I'm working with. And I think to myself, are they so much smarter than me? I mean, I'm sitting there because I know exactly how much we're paying them, and I know how much I'm earning. And I'm thinking to myself, what is it?
I know a lot of the DC lawyers.
What is it that causes?
I work with some from different firms and different capacities. They make a lot.
And what is it? And how is it? How does this happen? Well, it's easy. It happens because there is a kind of Rotary club of people who pump each other up and make it the norm.
Yeah.
So that they're all riding on each other and supporting each other, and the people in the streets, normal people, the middle classes, they seem not to be able to stop this, which is a puzzle to me.
Yeah. No, I actually, I was going to go into law. I didn't. I took we got over here. You have to take something called the LSAT.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. LSAT. So I took the LSAT, and I was going to into law school, but at the time my wife was still in school, and she said, "We can't both be in school." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good point." So I kept working.
Well, you will remember that Ralph Nader once famously said that the standing government of the United States of America are the 60,000 lobbyists in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And I mean, I recently, because of the project that I'm working on, I've encountered that world for the first time. And it's, of course, if you're just a student of human behavior, it's fascinating, but it was completely new to me to meet the lobbyists from here, there, and everywhere, and to see what their dialogue is, what their narratives are. Very smart. I mean, they work in the system, and because I'm retired and I don't have to work, I'm in a very, very lucky position. So I can become a bystander. If it becomes too uncomfortable to me, I can say, I'm out of here. So I know that I'm a very lucky person.
Yeah. I want to get one more question from you before we get out of here. I'm gonna have to talk with you again because I think it's a great conversation. But so is Norway, Sweden, and Finland? Y'all are all kind of like right there in that same contiguous piece of land, essentially, right? And so, if you had to pick, not if you had to pick. I want to ask a question. If I had to, if a person was to visit, would you say Helsinki or Oslo? First trip. You got one trip.
Yeah, I would say Oslo.
You would say Oslo?
Yeah, I mean, I think Finland is a fascinating country, but it's far north.
It's far north. Yeah.
There are lots of lakes. The geography is not as spectacular. If you come in the winter, it's punishing. If you come in the summer, there are lots of small mosquitoes.
Oh, really?
Go through to the holes that your needle make it.
I wouldn't have thought there was a lot of mosquitoes. Okay, so it's like they freeze up during the winter. I wouldn't have thought there were a lot of mosquitoes. Okay, I was surprised.
They're more midges than mosquitoes, so they're tiny. We get them in Norway as well in the summer. So, but I mean, I say this because Finland is a weird place, very different. The language is different. The culture is different. They've had a spectacularly complicated relationship with their neighbor Russia. And it's extremely successsul country. You know, they got the best education system in the world.
Really?
Finland. But I mean, they also have weird things. I'll tell you a little story, and then we have to say goodbye. So I go to a conference on peace, sustainable peace in Finland many years ago, and the conference is held in a big conference center which is not designed by an architect that understands dialogue. So there's a lot of hard furnishing, hard edges, hard lighting. And we have a dinner, 300 people. And at the dinner, I mean, the dinner had neon lighting, and it was everything was hard. It was the middle of summer, but everything looked like it was wintry. And the entertainment for the evening came in, and it was a woman who had a big python around her neck, a dancer. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm in Finland and there's a python. When I grew up, there was a stripper called Glenda Kemp in my hometown. Who used to strip with a python. And I thought, I hope she doesn't take her clothes off. So it's a weird place. And I mean, they won the Eurovision Song Contest with a band. And I saw that band, and they were weird. They've also got a band called the Leningrad Cowboys. Leningrad Cowboys.
Really? Yeah. Wow. Why Lenin? Are they saying that they was a part of the Leningrad? They from Leningrad, or they?
Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, is very close to Finland.
Oh, I see.
So this group was called the Leningrad Cowboys. They still perform. Look them up.
Oh yeah, St. Petersburg is right next to. I didn't realize St. Petersburg was so close to Finland.
Oh sure.
Oh, okay. So when they had the siege on Leningrad,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, I just read.
I like Russian history too. So
I just read a book by a guy who writes about the siege of Leningrad. I didn't know how bad
it was brutal.
This was not a happy book.
It was they actually I know last story before we get out of here. They did a study a study of the descendants of the kids from Leningrad, and what they determined that was one of the things that aided the study of like trauma. Like they studied like people throughout the world, like in America they studied like black people and things like that to see trauma from, say, the chattel slavery period. And what they determined was that there's genetic markers that people exhibit, and then for Leningrad there's specific genetic traits that people have in their DNA markers if their parents went through or suffered through the siege. And it was interesting because I think that's where Putin was from, or his family, one of his family members. So like there's a specific DNA marker of how they react in
that's interesting.
Pressure situation.
Yes, Putin was from that area.
Yeah, so there's a look up if you're interested, look up there was a study on people who descend from that, and so it's like they react to drama, or they react to beef and problems in certain particular way. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting, but it was a great conversation. Glad to catch up with you again.
Yeah, Sterling, wonderful. I feel a bit guilty. I mean, we're really all over the place.
I left this thing up here on the show the whole time. The Dunning-Kruger effect does not apply to it does not apply to Graham. Oh man, I'm bad about this. Anyway, I'm Galvarino Chili. Want to thank Graham. His name was blocked the whole show. I gotta change the I'm gonna have to put a banner over the banner. But anyway,
let me leave you with a Zulu expression that I probably told you in the pub. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you an email so that you can get it right.
Okay.
It's umuntu ngamuntu ngabantu. And that means a being becomes a human being through other beings.
Yes, you did tell me that.
Yes. This is what Obama called the Ubuntu philosophy. Mm-hmm. And it's something that we maybe should talk about next time we talk.
We will.
About Zulu, about the little I know about Zulu culture.
All right, I'd appreciate that, and I'm gonna get out of here because what I got to do now is get a little one to school. You have a great rest of your day, Graham. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch up with you later. This is the Chit Podcast. I'm out of here. Love you.
Real niggas stand up, we handle business. Keep it real to up to tell you on the realest. Little bit mad, man, key, tight shit. 12 outside my house, cause I'm rich. Nigga been getting sprayed, they know how we playin'. Got out Halloween, but I'm no demon, baby. Niggas rats, I'm a bad father cause I raised them. Cause I made them. Yeah. I feel real love in my face. Peace and blessings on my face. Let my love spread, this ain't no phase. Blaming Jesus off of my face. My real brothers contribute to my pain. I'm putting racks up every single day. I've been coping, spending every day. I've been decent, living out of space. I came from nothing, now we made it to the top. New Rose rest with icing on the rocks, yeah. You a boss, just flex, you can do it. The next time I see you, we can do it. You say that you love me, then prove it. Yeah, the road respect from gotta charge. Keep it presidential, just like your wives. I can see you love me when I look into your eyes. You popping out with me on a Thursday. Bought you a house, it ain't in your birthday. I'm trying to do your pussy the worst way. Come on, baby. She said she hear a nigga crying. How the fuck you hear tears? I went on tour, I was lying. I been pushing this shit for years. Baby, I'm sorry, okay?